You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee. So you say,
"Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?"
Brew 2 shots of espresso.
After Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you're ready for some beats.
"Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music."
You head to meet some friends, but can't remember the place.
"Hey, Meta, call Eva."
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, "Hey, Meta," to harness the power of Meta AI. Shop now at meta.com/smartglasses.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
At the risk of sounding like Mark Ronner, not that I am like him, I'm saying sounding like him, there's some movies that I don't watch. There's some movies that I think are just kind of beneath me. Not in my age demographic, but not Pixar movies. Those are always in my age demographic. But the number one movie this past weekend was Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I can honestly say, and I don't know if Mark would disagree with this, he might be in alignment with me, which we don't like. I have not seen a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Not one, not two, not three.
And why would you?
Look, I'm like I said, we're in alignment. We agree. I just don't have any reason to see it.
I know it's boring when we agree, but honestly, I can't think of a single reason on earth unless you were being held hostage at gunpoint and it was one of those situations like in A Clockwork Orange where somebody's propping your eyes open with wires.
Well, the movie did 61 million worldwide. It's mostly just domestic, hasn't been released internationally for the most part. 60 million domestically, 1.3 million internationally, came in at number one at 61.5 million. What is more surprising is how Mufasa the Lion King underperformed, or at least their expectations, domestically. And here's how it gets real complicated. Domestically, Mufasa the Lion King only did 35 million, which is well below expectations. But it did do 90 million internationally. And it gives me the chance to highlight the point. Disney is not only creating content for American audiences. Disney is creating content for a world audience. And when you look at 72% of ticket sales for Mufasa the Lion King came from the international market, that should reaffirm that point that Disney is looking at the world market, not just the United States. But anyhow, did 35 million domestically, 90 million internationally, for 125 million worldwide. And if you're wondering, well, how does that stack up against the budget? Well, that's a great question. I thought I would have it up by now, but it's not up yet. It is, let me stall for a little bit more so I can bring it up. My computer's slow. 200 million. So you got 125 million first week. It most likely will make its money back, especially since you're right in the middle of the holiday season. Kids are home. They're not going to school. Parents will have a little more time to actually take them to the movie theaters. And this is one of those movies where if kids want to see it, parents got to take them. So it's going to make its money. I just find it surprising that it seems like it really underperformed domestically, but is doing very well internationally. Usually that's flipped. But going back to Sonic the Hedgehog, I just don't have any desire to see any of those movies. Now, the people who have kids, they tell me, oh, it's really good. It's really funny. No desire. None at all. Not the one with Jim Carrey. Nothing. Robin?
I think sometimes it's okay to admit that some things just aren't for us anymore.
That's true.
The Super Mario movie.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, I don't have, you know what? And maybe it's a function of movies surrounding games aren't all that attractive to me anyhow. And the movies surrounding the games are catering to a much younger audience. I mean, there's really no chance of me seeing any type of nudity, thongs, F-bombs, or anything in a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. And for Mark's benefit, no one is probably going to get decapitated. No one's going to get murked.
Well, you got those Resident Evil movies for that.
Right. And I have to remind myself that is an actual video game, but by and large, like the Doom movie, that sucked.
The first one sucked. The second one was kind of some watchable trash.
Doom?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a second one.
Unless I'm getting this wrong.
The one with The Rock?
No, I'll have to look it up because I recall feeling kind of embarrassed renting the second one.
Yeah, Tuala just walked in. We're talking about movies made for video games, and by and large, they don't do well, and I don't really pay them the time of day.
They do not, outside of the Tomb Raider films, the first ones with Angelina Jolie.
I forgot that was a game.
Yeah, that was a game. But outside of that, Resident Evil is the only one that has had any staying power as a video game turned into a film franchise that has gone on and on and on. They got like 11 of those films. But on Amazon Prime right now, there is a sick and twisted series called Next Level or Level Up or something. I don't know if you've seen that, Mark.
I saw the listing last night and I decided I wasn't going to watch it.
It's very dark, very violent. It's almost like Love, Death, and Robots, but the focus of it is based on video games.
Isn't it directly connected to Love, Death, and Robots?
I think it's just the creators of this series. They patterned it off of that, but it's very, very scary to watch. It's like they have this one story.
Is it Secret Level?
Secret Level, yes, Secret Level. They have this one story about Pac-Man that I'm like, Jesus H. Christ, is that what Pac-Man was about all this time? I will never play this game again. It is a nightmare.
I got to hear this now because I love Pac-Man.
Oh, my God. Pac-Man, in this world, when they tell you the origins of Pac-Man and what it's about, it's all bad. It is the Pac-Man is a monster. And the ghost that is fighting, it is what happens to you as a player when you become Pac-Man. You become almost cannibalistic, and that's what Pac-Man is. Pac-Man is a cannibalistic mission to escape a maze, and it's horrifying. It's like one of those. I watched it at night by mistake, thinking, okay, it was video games, and I said, what the hell am I watching? Language, nudity, violence, blood, gore, guts. Not for the faint of heart.
I'm watching it the second I step in the door when I get home now.
I think I will as well. Hey, Tuala, since you're here, Wicked is still sitting pretty at number 3.
Of course it is.
It's past 570 million.
Yep.
It should probably hit $750 million when all is said and done. You've seen it more than once. I'll probably get around to seeing it before this holiday's over. But did it leave a bad taste in your mouth that it only took you to a certain point and you have to wait till next year to see the rest of the story?
No, and I don't think it did, because for me, I went in knowing that it was set as the play is set, where the first part of the film is supposed to be. It supposedly ends right where the intermission ends for the play. So, and the way the film ended, it's so triumphant and it brings you to tears, just the singing and just, it's such a moment, and now I just can't wait to see part 2. And from everyone I know that's seen the play, this is it. This is what you want to see Wicked become on screen. And I will actually see this again on the big screen. I want to see this again on the big screen.
And even though you did not care for it, Tuala, Moana 2 is still doing very well. It brought in 13 million this week to secure the number 4 spot, but it's at 793 million worldwide. It's doing better internationally than domestically. But 793 million is going to at least eclipse, maybe I would say 850 million before it leaves theaters.
Hey, look, man, I'm proud of The Rock. He needed a win after Red won, and I'm proud of...
that movie lost money.
Look, Moana, the first one, I love it. The second one, it's left such a nasty taste on my mouth. I can't go back and watch the first Moana again.
I think The Rock's doing okay. By the way, the Doom sequel is called Doom Annihilation. It's from 2019. It is some trash, but I freely admit that I watched it.
Yeah,
Wait, was The Rock in that too?
No, the total no-name cast. It's garbage. But I think I got it from a Redbox, no less.
Wow.
Gladiator 2 came in at number 6. It's doing well enough. It's 406 million worldwide. Domestically, it's 154 million. I don't know what the expectations were for it, but it's making some money. But we all know we want to hear about Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter is now ponied up 42.7 million worldwide. 17 million domestically. 42. Not 142, just 42.
That film cost some 200-something million to make, man.
Well, speaking of 200-something million to make, Red won. has now grossed 181 million worldwide. It is not going to make its money back.
But I heard it was doing exceptional for Amazon Prime. Like
it is,
like
and we'll never see what that pay. I don't know what Amazon Prime paid for it for the distribution streaming rights. That's what we don't know. But yeah, that's probably still beneath what they were hoping for it. And yeah. And I'm not going to be seeing Sonic the Hedgehog. We have a mutual friend, with Dr. Liz, who was swearing by this movie.
She said it was edge of the seat.
Yeah.
She said it was better than the first two.
Yeah.
Look, you know what's interesting is my kids dared to mention this to me. And look, I took them to see the first one. So long ago, the first one came out. And I begrudgingly, I didn't bother with the second, because the first one was just like, this is trash. And then the second one, I was like, I'm not going to go see that. They liked it. They want to see this third one. Why? I don't get it. I don't get the whole thing with this character. I didn't like the video game. The video game was not a good video game.
No.
So you're telling me there's more than one?
Yes.
Well, that's what happens when they name it Sonic the Hedgehog 3. The implication is that there's probably a 1 and 2 preceding it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it wasn't by luck.
Thanks.
It ended up with that number 3 at the end.
Just like Godfather 3.
That you don't know about either.
Yeah.
Wait till you discover Star Wars. There's a shite load of them.
Your mind's going to be blown, man.
And look up like Jason Voorhees. His IMDb credits are tremendous. He's gone to outer space. He even fought Freddy Krueger a couple times.
That space one wasn't bad. That was number 10, and I will defend that.
There's something
you would
wrong with you.
defend that.
Look at the time. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeart.
Head over to NFLShop.com for the largest collection of officially licensed gear from all your favorite brands. NFL Shop is your ultimate gifting destination for jerseys, t-shirts, headwear, and more. Take your game day style to the next level with the best selection of NFL gear anywhere. Show off your team pride this holiday season with styles fit for the whole family. To shop now, go to NFLShop.com.
Our radio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
When do people start thinking about their New Year's Eve plans? My wife, who is very organized to the point of, is it called like anality? Is that a word?
I don't know if it's anality.
But she's very, very specific.
It's
in
retentive.
particular. Yes, in every sense.
Okay.
She planned our New Year's Eve back in August. August. Tuala, have you decided what you're doing for New Year's yet?
No. It's going to depend on what my children want to do. Now my son is 18. I don't know if he's going to want to hang out and pop apple cider champagne. My daughter, she's like probably going to say like, can I go to my friend's house? So I don't know. Now they're at that age where they don't want to hang out with dad anymore.
I think I stopped hanging out with my family when I went to college. Prior to that, it'd be kind of like a family get-together thing. We'd play cards. We'd watch Dick Clark. But when I started coming back from college, and I'm 18 or older, I was not trying to hang at the house. I was trying to get into something somewhere.
That's how I used to want to bring in the new year. You bring in the new year with New Year sex, but now,
okay, you're going to be explicit with it. I was just trying to hint at it, but yeah, sure.
No, I mean that's what it is. It's New Year sex. Anyone listening, you know it's New Year sex. It's New Year, new sex. That's what you do.
That is the goal.
That is the goal.
Hands down or hands up.
When you become a parent, then it's kind of like, oh, hey, kids, what are we gonna do? And it's like the 9:00 New Year. All right, y'all go to bed, and then you're sitting there thinking about the New Year noonie.
When I was one of the best, so I want to tell the story, and you're going to know which one I'm going to tell. One of the best New Year's I ever had, Tuala Sharp was, I think you were MD, music director for this station.
Yes, sir.
92.3 The Beat. They had a party bus, which took us from LA to San Diego at about 11:30 p.m. And we would ring in the New Year, stay there till maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. And then they would bring us back that night. So we would it was a literal turnaround trip. We were in San Diego for a couple of hours. And I remember I brought a lady friend with me on the bus. All I can say is there was so much debauchery on this bus in the bus bathroom. It was insane. And I'm saying that as someone who is a veteran of the music industry. I can't even express.
Look, I already know the stories that came back from that bus, and I'm mad I did not go because everyone said that y'all were trying to live your Girls Gone Wild fantasy on that bus. It was out of control. All that was missing from that bus was a pole right in the middle.
And that was before they had those party buses with the poles. Okay, yes. So this was a charter bus, and the seats were not big enough for what people were trying to do. Yeah. And after a while, people were drunk, getting sick, and they're basically having sex in the middle aisle. They turned off the lights. It was FS 2000 up in there.
On a bus.
He was on a bus. And I think the bus driver was in on it because he's like looking over his shoulders like, y'all all right back there? You need me to pull over? I say all that to say.
I love it.
When I was in my late 20s, that was New Year's Eve was the time of my life. Now, not so much. You know, now it's just like, hey, I don't want no trouble. Let's go somewhere we can dance and sit down, and got to be plenty food, good food. And I need to be asleep by 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
You got to sit down.
Yeah, because from 12:10, whatever we're going to do has to be between 12:10 a.m. and 12:50 a.m. Because 1 o'clock, I turn into a pumpkin. I'm done. I can't stay up till 4 in the morning anymore. Maybe Robin can. Mark doesn't even go to sleep before 6 in the morning.
Well, it just depends on the day, but you do seem tremendously elderly when you talk about this.
Look, I'm pouring out my heart here. I'm being very honest. I can't do anything all night anymore, including sleep. Not that either. Not that either. Think of something. Nope, can't do that all night either. Nope. A man must know his limitations. So New Year's Eve, I will take a nap at about 4 o'clock p.m., and I'll make sure that I have a pre-meal at around 6 o'clock because I can't drink on an empty stomach.
Pre-meal meaning early bird special.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And then I'll dance maybe 2 or 3 times because my arthritis be acting up. Ringing the new year.
The arthritis, the lumbago. What
That's
else
right.
you got? Yeah.
Gout. And then whatever's going to happen between 12:10 and 1 a.m. is going to happen. And then I'm going to drop off into a deep coma-like trance and sleep for like 3 hours and then wake up in the middle of the night.
And what is your New Year's Eve drink of choice?
Oh, it's got to be brown liquor. I will end up in a toilet with like gin or vodka.
Oh, yeah, I can't drink gin either.
It will be some form of Jack Daniels. It'll be Jack Daniels. It'll be Gentleman Jack. It'll be single barrel, but it'll be brown liquor.
No, gin is for English hardcore alcoholics with those red golf ball noses. It's not for any civilized person.
Okay. All right. Tiffany Hobbs, what is your weapon of choice on a New Year's Eve?
I'd like to say that while I am not an English gentleman with a red nose, I do enjoy gin, and I seem to tolerate it pretty well, but wine of any kind for sure. My birthday is actually January 1st. So on New Year's Eve.
Also, happy new birthday.
Yeah, I'm bringing in my birthday and the new year. So, it's a fun time.
Wait, duh. You haven't followed up on me on the gumbo.
I haven't. Not yet. Not yet.
All right.
Okay. You're expensive. You're expensive.
Have you and your fiance made your New Year's Eve plans yet?
No, we haven't made any plans. And I'm not a planner. I'm not like La Mujer. I definitely don't see past, I think, a week ahead at this point. But I do know that we hope to be able to do something close to home. Don't really want to be out in the crowds, out in the fray. Not really our thing.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I don't really even see anyone under the age of 30.
Yeah.
No, I'm being serious. Talk about being elitist, Mark. New Year's Eve, I don't want to see anyone under the age of 30. Why? Because people under the age of 30 don't know how to handle their liquor.
Do they let children into the home on New Year's Eve?
You talking about my house?
The home.
You trying to say like an old age?
The facility, yeah.
No, they don't.
All right.
They don't know. They don't let the old folks out either. I'm not there yet. Not quite.
Got those teeth in a glass by the bed at 12:01.
No, just my Invisalign, but that's about it.
The pit diaper.
And seeing how you're older than me, that's the weird thing about all this.
You're the oldest person in this building right now.
There are only 8 people in this building, and you're older than me, so that's not true.
It's a godless lie, and I won't tolerate it.
Why just blaspheming left and right? It's Christmas Eve, man.
Well, let's just lower the tone a little bit here. Try to be a little friendly to your pals here.
We're not friends.
Oh, okay.
Robin, we are getting ready to go to break. I need you to get ready for when I toss to Mark. Are we ready?
No.
You need a little more time?
Yeah.
Okay. How much time you need?
Okay, I'm ready.
KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere. The iHeartRadio app. When we come back, we're going to talk about James Bond and what is not happening with that franchise. And Mark Runner is going to lead us through the muck and mire of that storied intellectual property. We may never see another James Bond. I almost said James Brown. James Bond movie.
I'll take James Brown.
Because of what's going on behind the scenes. That's next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app on this Christmas Eve. And there's arguably no bigger Bond fan among us than Mark Runner. And we all are Bond fans, but he is a Bond fan above all Bond fans. I was casually curious as to why we had not seen the next official announcement, at least of who's going to be the next James Bond. It's thought to be Aaron Taylor Johnson, but that has not been confirmed. And in the wake of Kraven the Hunter, that may not ever happen. And that's just me being cynical, but still, you can have a bad movie and then people start questioning whether you actually are a star. But beyond that, there seems to be friction between the people who own the rights to all things Bond and Amazon Prime. And what is your read of it, Mark, from what you know?
The way I understand it, and I'm not working from any notes here, but I did read and watch a number of things about it over the weekend. Barbara Broccoli inherited the control of the Bond franchise from her father, Cubby Broccoli, and she apparently uncorked on Amazon. Amazon bought the rights to MGM, which controls the Bond movies, it owns the Bond movies, but the Broccoli family has control of the Bond franchise, right? And so Amazon apparently had plans to do spin-offs and TV shows and all sorts of other things to dilute the Bond brand. And Barbara Broccoli just threw caution and diplomacy to the wind and called them a bunch of effing idiots over the weekend. And it looks like they're at kind of an impasse, and we're not going to get any Bond for a while.
Don't they know, just historically, how protective the Broccoli family has been of the Bond name and franchise? Don't they know?
Well, Bond is the most English of all English things, and the American way is to bleed everything dry and to just exploit it until there's nothing left, not a dime left, not a drop of blood left. But these are the most bespoke movies in the world, in the history of cinema. You make one every few years. By the way, people don't seem to know. Goldfinger and Thunderball came out just a year apart in 64 and 65, but now they take years between them. And so, poor Daniel Craig, he made 5 of them and over a period of 20 years.
Yeah.
Sean Connery wasn't James Bond for that long.
If I'm reading this correctly, Amazon was trying to do what Sony did with the Spider-Man intellectual property. So we would have all these series, possibly even spin-off movies that did not contain James Bond, but there would be like a Moneypenny movie or a Q movie or series like that. Is that right?
There's been talk of that for years, and I think the specific reference that the Amazon people made was that they wanted to start treating the James Bond franchise like Marvel movies, and that would raise the hackles on anybody's neck if you understand James Bond.
But not only that, it's not like you can just duplicate what Marvel did. There was a plan, although it was a plan which grew and changed over time. There was an actual plan from beginning to end. It doesn't sound like that there is a plan here other than just creating more stuff for people to see.
Just exploiting every nook and cranny of the Bond universe and making its own separate thing out of it. And I don't know of many Bond fans who actually want to see that, but Amazon, some of these things work out okay. There are things you and I have seen where we thought, oh God, we don't need that. In fact, what was the thing that I talked about Friday? Oh, it was a young Dexter.
Mm-hmm.
That turned out good. But with Barbara Broccoli, they really guard James Bond jealously. They don't let anybody screw with this. They make the decisions, and they know that would cheapen the whole thing.
Yeah, but if young Dexter fails, it's not like people are going to say, oh, you ruined the brand. Bond is an iconic brand, and the stakes are higher, and I think the tolerance is much lower for foolishness beyond the Broccoli family. I'm just saying fans of James Bond have a certain level of expectation. That's why there's so much emphasis placed on who's going to be the next Bond, because it has to measure up to previous Bonds or hopefully exceed.
Yeah, Bond fans love to argue about every choice that's made, every casting decision, and that's fine. I mean, I didn't like the last several of them, but I love James Bond, and if you're a Bond fan, it's like, only you can say certain things about your brother or sister. If anybody else does, you're going to kick their ass.
Mm-hmm. I particularly liked Daniel Craig as Bond. He's my second favorite Bond behind Sean Connery. I grew up with Roger Moore. I liked Roger Moore, but he never felt in the true spirit of the original Bond movies that my father exposed me to.
I get that. And people's opinions on that differ. I think Ian Fleming may have wanted more before he wanted Sean Connery. And in fact, he didn't want Connery until he got to know him, because he had pictured somebody more like a Cary Grant or a David Niven as James Bond initially. He grew to like Connery and then later added details in a book to account for Connery's Irish ancestry, Scottish ancestry. But I mean, everybody loves Roger Moore. My problem with Daniel Craig was that Casino Royale, his first one, was promising, and each one was worse and worse after that. And Craig himself just became a pouty, moody James Bond that didn't have any of that death thrill that you saw with Sean Connery. Like you look at Sean Connery in the very first one, Dr. No, when he's in a ride that would a car chase that would terrify any of us, and you see he starts to smile in the middle of this thing when somebody dies horribly.
This comes down to just preference, I think, because what I liked most about Daniel Craig's portrayal of James Bond was he was a man with certain frailties, and you'd have to see the result of his proclivities, his drinking. That became a storyline. Quantum of Solace was a bad movie, period.
Well,
but I liked where they were trying to go. The fact that he did mess around and fall in love, and that's why I believe he was a womanizer every movie and scene after that.
Well, he fell in love in On Her Majesty's Secret Service too, with Diana Rigg, no less. I mean, if you're going to finally give up the bachelor life, that's who you do it for. But they tried to change the Daniel Craig Bond to suit the times. I mean, you couldn't get away with a lot of stuff that you did in the 60s. Bond was invented in the 50s, okay? That was when those stories were written. I think Casino Royale might have been 53 when it was published.
Yeah, but that, of course, you have to update the character because, in this post-Me Too world, James Bond just bedding a woman every single night while he's out there, quote unquote, saving the British Empire is not as attractive today as it was 40 years ago.
It seems a little sociopathic now, but I think some of the changes they made to Bond just made him ordinary. And there were things that were purposefully left out of the movies and the books, such as Bond's background. Like a lot of people love Skyfall, which is beautifully filmed. It's a great looking movie. But the part about, him thinking of female M. Judi Dench as a mother figure, terrible. The people responsible for that understood nothing. And I despise that.
Yeah, but then by that argumentation, I think you would be more angry about a Roger Moore because Roger Moore never broke a sweat. There was no depth to his portrayal of James Bond.
I just like Roger Moore, and I don't take those movies as seriously as the first 6.
What do you mean you didn't like Moonraker?
Moonraker got a little too silly. I love Live and Let Die. It was a blaxploitation movie, basically.
I love The Spy Who Loved Me.
And right before The Spy Who Loved Me was The Man with the Golden Gun, which had Christopher Lee in it, two superheroes of cult cinema, Moore and Lee. A fun movie. I thought things started to get to, like, the tagline for The Spy Who Loved Me was, it's bigger, it's better, it's Bond and beyond. And that turned out to be too much for me. There was some fun stuff in the movie, though.
Before we go to break, where do you think this goes with the James Bond IP? Do you think Amazon bends to the will of the Broccoli family, or is there something in between?
I don't think the Broccoli people mind sitting on their hands until things go their way. Look at how long they waited between before they got Pierce Brosnan, and between Brosnan and Craig, and Dalton. They want things done their way, and even if you don't like the way they do certain things, they're going to have things their way, and I admire that about them. I can't tell you, like, if I were in charge, I'd take it all the way back to the 50s or the 60s, Mad Men era, where Bond, that character, made more sense, because it's like the ship of Theseus. You change too many things about it, you might as well call it something else.
Gosh, this is Later with Mo Kelly. This is not Greek history and tragedy. I don't need you quoting Homer and the Iliad. It was, no, Scylla and Charybdis. Come on, man. You're too smart for the audience.
The analogy is, how much do you change a thing before it's a completely different thing? One thing at a time, and then suddenly you look at it and it's like, oh, that's not James Bond anymore.
I don't know if today's audiences care. I know the family cares, but I don't know if audiences care to that degree.
Well, what they've seen is copies of copies of copies, and so I would love to strip it down and get it right back down to basics.
But this is an audience or people now who will just as much love a John Wick or a Jason Bourne or a Transporter, any one of those characters, and not feel that they lose anything.
You're exactly right. So you take Jason Bourne and the Tom Cruise Mission Impossibles, and you've got to discern for yourself what made Bond different from all of those, and more exciting and harder and meaner. And that's there to be found, but you got to dig for it.
Well, I would be open to a crossover movie where James Bond made an appearance in a John Wick movie at the Continental Hotel, and Jason Bourne was there, and just all the killers just happened to, just one scene. Ethan Hunt, just all of them, just one scene.
Just like a Justice League of killer spies?
Yep. Just one scene.
Okay, I'm in.
And they don't have to refer to him as James Bond. They'll just call him James or something, so everyone would know, oh, they're talking about 007.
That you're opening up a whole nother thing that we don't have time to get into, which was,
well, fine, then.
How does everyone know who he is if he's a secret agent?
Everybody knows. Oh, Mr. Bond, we weren't expecting you.
Yeah, a secret agent, and yet everybody knows what he drinks everywhere.
And they know his name, first and last name.
Well, okay, we got to stop.
KFI AM 640.
Head over to NFLshop.com for the largest collection of officially licensed gear from all your favorite brands. NFL Shop is your ultimate gifting destination for jerseys, t-shirts, headwear, and more. Take your game day style to the next level with the best selection of NFL gear anywhere. Show off your team pride this holiday season with styles fit for the whole family. To shop now, go to NFLshop.com.
We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
As we come down to the end of this evening, as we get closer to Christmas Eve, I have some friends, maybe you do too, some family who do the gift exchange on Christmas Eve. That's something my family's only done maybe once or twice, but it's always intrigued me when you do it on Christmas Eve. Some do it Christmas morning. My family, we do it like Christmas evening. It's like, gosh, Lee, you're making the kids wait all darn day. And we'll have the Christmas gift exchange right before dinner. Right before dinner. I'm going to be going over to my sister's house. There'll be 11 people over there. And hopefully I'll get the chance to watch some of the NBA games. That's all I want. I want to eat. Watch the basketball games. That's all I'm asking for. And I know I'm speaking for just about most men out there. That's all we want. Here's a suggestion to a woman listening, or it could be a man. Let your man watch the basketball games. Make sure he gets a good plate. He gets to watch the basketball games, maybe have a cup where he can sip on something during the game, and you'll have a fantastic Christmas. Because we as men, we are so very simple. Sometimes we're so simple, you want to make it difficult. Just give us the simple stuff, and then everything will just fall into place. And no, I'm not talking to you, Tiffany Hobbs, even though I'm looking at you, making sure you're hearing me.
I hear you loud and clear. And I am seeing TJ, my fiance, next to me nodding his head. And I plan to heed your advice, Mr. Mo Kelly.
And if you haven't listened to Later with Mo Kelly or previously the Mo Kelly Show, we do a nice rendition of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas every single year. So be sure to check that out tomorrow as we sign off tomorrow, and have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas holiday. And we'll talk to you on the other side of Christmas. KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
KFI
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee. So you say,
Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?
Brew 2 shots of espresso.
after Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you're ready for some beats.
Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music.
You head to meet some friends, but can't remember the place.
Hey, Meta, call Eva.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, hey, Meta, to harness the power of Meta AI. Shop now at meta.com/smartglasses.